The influence and wealth of the Jewish Rothschild bankers was so great that they were often credited with controlling the world economy and the governments of many countries, putting the Rothschilds on a par with the American Rockefellers. But is this so? Let's try to understand the history of this family. The history of the Rothschilds begins with Mayer Amschel Rothschild, who founded his bank in 1762 in the German city of Frankfurt on the Main. At that time, he was about 18 years old. The early death of his wealthy parents, who bequeathed all their property to their only son, helped him secure the initial capital at such a young age. This money was enough to create a small bank, which quickly expanded thanks to the talented leadership of its founder. Mayer Rothschild enlisted the support of one of the richest German landgraves, Wilhelm IX. Mayer Rothschild had 5 sons who helped their father manage his banking affairs. They were called 5 fingers of one hand. At that time, the Rothschild family became one of the richest in Europe, and their family capital exceeded the assets of the French bank. After the death of Rothschild Sr., his sons divided the family fortune and moved to different countries. Thus, the first international banking network arose in Europe, which belonged to the Rothschild dynasty. Each of the sons of Rothschild Sr. settled in one of the European capitals. But the one who deserves the most attention is Nathan Rothschild, the middle son, who chose rainy London as his residence. Here, around 1810, he founded the Rothschild and Sons Bank, which continues to operate to this day, remaining the main asset of the dynasty. Thanks to his wide family network, Nathan Rothschild was often one of the first to receive information, which he skillfully used for his enrichment. Thus, he was the first Englishman to receive news of Napoleon's defeat at the Battle of Waterloo. On the same day, Nathan Rothschild conducted a major sale of his assets on the London Stock Exchange, which caused real panic and a collapse in shares, as English stockbrokers decided that the Rothschilds knew about Napoleon's victory, so they began to get rid of their assets. However, Rothschild, on the contrary, bought up many securities at a reduced cost, using secret resellers. The next day, when England learned of Napoleon's defeat, stock prices soared. Nathan Rothschild was the richest man in the state. The youngest of the brothers, Jacob Rothschild, also had considerable success, who managed to enter the inner circle of the French King Louis Philippe, providing the Rothschild house with a dominant position in the banking structure of France. But the other brothers could not boast of such great successes. The eldest of them, who received the main inheritance of his father in Germany, completely lost a significant part of his property as a result of Jewish pogroms. Thus, the 2 main houses of Rothschild were England and France, the 2 richest countries in the world at that time. Subsequently, the Rothschilds developed their code to keep all capital within the dynasty. They isolated themselves from external relations by making consanguineous marriages popular in the manner of European royal families. This similarity was further strengthened by the titles of nobility that were granted to the Rothschilds by the governments of various European states. Therefore, it was almost impossible to enter or leave the House of Rothschild. The wealth of the 5 brothers, who helped each other overcome any economic difficulties, was so great that the Rothschilds built palaces of unprecedented luxury in Europe, which were the envy of even crowned heads. The Rothschilds brought art or historical artifacts to these palaces from all over the world that were inaccessible to either the Louvre or the Hermitage. After the death of 5 brothers, subsequent generations of Rothschilds continued the family business, strengthening their position in the European economy. Over time, London became the only capital of the Rothschilds, and the English branch of the dynasty began to play a dominant role. Here, Nathan Mayer Rothschild II, who was the grandson of the same Nathan Rothschild who made his fortune in the war with Napoleon, deserves special attention. Thanks to wise economic policies, he acquires many insurance and mining companies in Western Europe, significantly expanding the dynasty's banking business. Nathan Rothschild II financed the construction of the Suez Canal, as well as the colonization of Rhodesia. His influence in England reached such heights that he became the first Jew to receive the title of Lord. At the beginning of the 20th century, British Prime Minister David Lloyd George believed that Nathan Rothschild II was the most powerful man in the empire, with whom even the king himself could not compare. Around this time, the House of Rothschild began to take an active part in the politics of Zionism, defending the interests of the Jewish people throughout Europe. Thus, he puts the Russian Empire on the blacklist, refusing debt loans under the pretext of its anti-Jewish policies. But when the question arose about creating a national Jewish state in Palestine, the support of James Jacob Rothschild, who was the head of the dynasty at that time, played a big role. His youngest son led the first Jewish settlement in the Holy Land and later became the head of the Jewish Colonization Society, which bought land from the Turks and Arabs, giving it to Jewish colonists. By the middle of the 20th century, when Israel had already become an independent state, the Rothschilds invested many billions of dollars in its infrastructure, including the construction of the Knesset building, which now houses the Jewish parliament. Nowadays, the Rothschilds have lost their former power but remain a fairly influential family. They own many investment funds and commercial banks throughout Europe, which form a powerful financial network. The Rothschilds are not shy about the commodity market, controlling many oil and gas and mining enterprises. In the Russian Federation, they own a large stake in the Rothschild Corporation, and in Europe, they control the largest supplier of rare earth resources, Glencore. By a strange coincidence, the Rothschild assets were not affected by the global financial crisis of 2008, and now the total wealth of the family is estimated at $2 trillion. Thanks to everyone who watched this video to the end. To find out about the latest releases, you just need to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell. Also, leave your thoughts in the comments and give it a thumbs up. See you soon.